Alright, so welcome to another Flutter tutorial, and today we're going to look at what we call as a responsive page design. So as you can see to the left here, the left side of the application here is a login page which running on a mobile phone uh, on an AVD, Android virtual device, Pixel XL, which is a phone aspect ratio, and to the right here is the same application running on an Android emulator, which is set to 10.1 WSGA tablet size. So the page here shows that when the application run on a smaller device, it look much more better in terms of the page or in terms of the design itself. The image widget here and the login form here, the size of the card, they look better when running on a smaller device compared to when the same page running on a bigger screen. So on the bigger screen here, the card size or the card width is basically set to the or following the size of the screen or the width of the screen here, and it's stretched, and it doesn't seem to look nice on a larger screen. It doesn't look nice on a tablet size because the width of the screen is much bigger compared when it running on a smaller screen. So this is what we call of a responsive design. So we need to understand that the application not only will run on a mobile phone screen size, the application also, or the Android device also available on a much larger screen size, such as on a tablet or even on a TV, on the television. So it is important for the application to be able to resize or to be able to responsive towards different screen sizes. There are multiple widgets available. There are multiple methods available how to better manage the screen size. For example, here we can use media query to get the width and the height of the screen, and use that information or use that width data, and determine the maximum width that we like for the device or for any particular widget. Width here is to its maximum size. So this can be done by using media query implemented in the particular class or in the particular page. So here I would like to demonstrate how to implement what we call as the responsive page design using the media query method, and here I'm going to show the application, and the application basically the page is basically implemented through login page dot, and it basically contain the following. So this is the widget tree, and the widget tree basically contained in the build widget contain two parameters here, which is a screen height and screen width, and the screen height and screen width is double type, and we can just implement, we can just call media query of contact dot size and get the screen height, and it will basically return pixel count. And the same with screen width, we use media query.offContact.size.width, which basically will return screen width. So here what we want is basically to be able to control the width of our card here, so that if the application running on a much bigger screen, the width of this particular card widget here can be set to a much smaller width compared when the application running on a smaller device, which we can use the media query to extract or to check on the screen width. All right, so what we need to do now is we're going to create another we're going to add another variable here, and the variable name will be resolution width, and the resolution width will be used to check the screen resolution at first in the build method. So here we're going to check for the screen width. So we're going to implement if statement, which is if the screen, what we have is screen width, because we wanted to check for the screen width. So screen width, and we're going to start with a small device. All right, so for the small device, we can use we can start with a 600 pixel width. So if the screen width is less than 600 pixel, so this is where we can define our screen width for the particular widgets. So if screen width is less than 600, so we're going to set our resolution width to the screen width. All right, means that there's no changes to the width. So screen width will remain intact, or it will not change to a different value. But else, so we just use the following simple rules here. So anything less than or equal, maybe we can use equal 600 pixel. The resolution width is basically the screen width. However, if the screen width is bigger than 600 pixel, so we can use let's say 75% from the screen size. So we can use 75% times 75% from the screen size. So which means that the width of our card here will be set to a new width. Alright, so once we determine the width of the particular device, we can use the resolution width or the res width as our width for the card. So let us move to the card size. So the card basically implemented in the lower corner here. So it is basically for this card implement this, it basically contain this form. Alright, so the lower half widget here, basically implement this section. So what we're going to do now is to set the width of this container. Right, so we can use width parameter and set the width to the resolution width. So here what we have now is for the login card will be automatically resized to only 75% from the overall screen size. But that depends because certain device, even though you are running on a mobile phone, the resolution for the particular screen or for the screen itself is very high. which will translate that the width of the screen will become bigger. So it will be required to test or to check on that also, and we can use the rules here and to set if the resolution is between less than 1000 pixel or 1200 pixel, so we can use the other options, or we can provide more width options. So on a larger screen, maybe we can set to 85% or 65% on much larger screen. So it is important to check on that, right? So but this is quite simple implementation, which basically use the screen width from media query and then check if the screen width of the current contact is less than or equal 600, and we can just use, or we can assign a resolution width to the current screen width, which if we run this on a smaller screen on a smaller screen device, it will use the screen width as its default width. But however, if it running on a much higher width resolution, the resolution will be set to only 75% of the screen, and that basically translate into a much nicer looking card. So instead of the card stretched to the very edge of the screen, now we can see that the size of the widgets for all the card is set to 75%. And it can be, you can test the application, the same application running on a smaller device, which basically will automatically set the screen width to 100%, and it will the card itself will consume or will use screen width as its width for the container. So the same method also can be applied, can be used to set in terms of the let's say for the text itself to be responsive, right? So the text, like for example, like this tag here and the same text here, so the size of text also can be adaptive, okay, adaptive towards different screen size. Like for example, right now the login text here, and when viewing on a larger screen, this text should be bigger, so that can be controlled. Let's say the following text now is set to constant, so we can set the font size here by using resolution width, and we can use, let's say, times 0.03. so let's see if what the 0.03 will display. So this is 0.03, so let's say we set to 0.5, should be larger. Yeah, you can see now the text becomes larger. We set this to 0.05, and if we run, let's say we run the same application on a smaller screen size, so let's stop the current debug execution. So let's choose Pixel 2 API 28 and run the application. Alright, so this is the current execution of the same page when I run the application on Pixel XL. So you can see that the login screen, or the login text here, the size is basically just nice, and that basically allow us to change the size dynamically with the screen size, so that it will become more responsive. So this is basically just one of the one of the method available to manage page responsiveness, and we can just use a very simple method here to implement responsive page design. So just by checking the screen width and adjust the width of particular widgets that we would like to manage. All right, so it basically applies to any other pages that we like to have. Like for example, for this application, we want to register new account, so we can see that this is the registration page. So if we run the page on a much larger screen, so let's say the application, when it run on a much larger screen, so what we have here, registration. Okay, so we can see that the same method also can be applied. So let's see if I need to stop this page and access the registration page. So here also we use the same method. We can add one more parameter. Actually, you don't have to, but it is much better. Not better, but easier to manage. So we have added one variable, and then we can just get the value or determine the value by using the if statement in the build method. So I'm going to update the build method here. So the build method is down here, and then check the resolution and use the resolution width to determine the screen width. And here this is the upper half, the lower half. So the lower half of the container, we can set width of the container. Width of the container is set to the resolution width, and let's see how the application look like when or the registration page look like when we run or we updated the code. Alright, so now we can see that once the application being updated, so the debug code run, we can see the lower half or the form itself is set to 75% of the screen width. And also the same with the upper half. So I set the width for the upper half of the widget here set to 70%. So times 0.07, which is 70% of the screen width, and we get a much better looking page layout. So we can also apply to the register new account here. So register new account. So instead of hard coded the value, so we can use res width times 0.05, and since this is a variable, so we need to remove constant, and let's see the output. So this is 0.05% size from the screen width. So that basically will be able to translate into a much better or much more responsive application page, and we can better or we can run the application on a much wider range of screen devices. Okay, so not just for mobile device, such as for phone device aspect ratio. We can also run the application on a tablet or on a much larger screen width device. Alright, so I hope that basically give you some idea how to build a responsive page with Flutter. Maybe not the best way, but it is one of the method available that you can use to dynamically change the width of any particular widgets uh, through the use of a media query. So that's all. Thank you. Happy coding and bye bye.